All right, so we're going to look at, I called it Clash of Value Notes again. I'm calling it traditionalism versus modernism. And so in the 1920s, a lot of things begin to change. Electricity, different morals, prohibition. I mean, there's just so much stuff. Teaching of evolution. So that's what this is all about here. And we're going to look at it, all right? So, first thing we need to discuss here is what is called the free enterprise system. Now, the free enterprise system goes along with laissez-faire, and it's the idea that the Constitution, the legal system, prevents coercion and prevents and enforces private contracts. The whole idea of free enterprise is that the buyer and the seller, see, here they both are going back and forth, are engaged and are involved in the marketplace freely. No one is telling the buyer, if you're paying more than this, it's too much. And no one's telling the seller you have to sell at a certain price. And so that is the free enterprise system. And what happens is when we go into the Great Depression, this kind of dissolves under FDR. But this is the idea we have as we're going through. Another really good modern example would be Obamacare, the Affordable Health Care Act. They do have a marketplace where buyers and sellers of insurance go and get different things, and they're supposed to be allowed to do that freely. So that is free enterprise system. All right. The next person we can talk about is Henry Ford, and yes, Henry Ford's been around for a while at this point. But Henry Ford's assembly line and methods of production have vastly changed America. Because of the availability of cars, we have to build new roads. Now, it's not the highways. Highways come in the 50s. So we have to have all these new roads being built out and to help these commuters get to work. Now, the problem becomes, if they're living further away from the city, how do we take care of them? In the 1920s, we have the rise of kind of popular electricity, not just for factories, but for everyday common homes. And when we tell you about the terms electrified homes, it basically refers to the number of consumer products powered by electricity, shavers, dishwashers, refrigerators, all these consumer products that everyone had to have. Now, as they did, they wanted to live further away from the city with the availability of cars and the availability of electricity, and so we have a rise in the suburbs. Suburbs are essentially smaller scale cities outside of a large city. For example, South Haven, Olive Branch are suburbs of Memphis. And so that goes with that. Now, as we go back into this and we're getting away from World War I into this idea, the traditionalism came out. We want the mothers in the home teaching the children, not working. This is referred to as the cult of domesticity. If you domesticate something, you tame it, you do something. A lot of times they say domesticated animals. That means cat or dog you have in your house. So the cult of domesticity is basically where the females are going to stay home and take care of the children. And when I say cult, it just means if you buy into it, you believe into it. And America bought into it and believed it at this point. And it really doesn't start to change until they're children. But we'll get there. Now, a major problem in the 1920s were the farms. And so we have some horrible things going on here about how are we going to protect the farms. Now, the first idea was called the Farm Relief Bill, really the McNary Hagen Farm Relief Bill. This was never passed into law because Coolidge actually vetoed it. But the idea behind the Farm Relief Bill was they were going to subsidize. That basically means they were going to support farmers, drive the prices up, and then the government would buy the excess product and sell it to other countries. Now, Coolidge thought that this was too much power that we were giving the farmers and that eventually it would hurt the American consumer. So it was never passed. Something that was passed a few years earlier than this was the Fordney-McCumber tariff. Remember, a tariff is a tax on a foreign good. This is a defensive tariff, meaning it's going to be a high tariff, and the whole idea is to make people buy American. And you can tell their law raised American tariffs on many imported goods. The idea was to protect businesses and farms. This proves to be potentially a problem here, and we'll look at that problems coming forward. So that is kind of business and also the farm aspect. And now in the next whole section, we're going to talk about the females and some just different things that happen in the 1920s. Here we have the Ford v. Macomber thing, right? We've raised it. We've kept out foreign salesmen.